And welcome to the latest edition of the 941 Sports Zone. I'm Spitz. John is now in a Keys days after spending the week down in the Florida Keys. We got a very special guest tonight, Lemon Bay Assistant Athletic Director and Head Boys Golf Coach Sean Huber. But we're not going to talk Lemon Bay. Well, we're going to talk a little Lemon Bay athletics, but we're going to talk a lot about a former, all right, not a former, she's always going to be a Lemon Bay grad, as well as a trainer in the horse racing world. What a special Kentucky Derby it was. We've got a lot to get to, boys, so we're going to rock and roll right through this. Coach, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
All right. The 941 Sports Zone brought to you as always by Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida, locally owned and nationally backed, delivering exceptional roofing for homes and businesses throughout the Gulf Coast. Give them a call at 941-251-4257, 941-251-4257. If you still have that roof, you've been putting it off, and hurricane season is now literally less than a month away. Get that done now before it becomes a problem. And I know we're hearing all the predictions of the strongest El Nino in 150 years, but as we all know in Southwest Florida, it only takes one. So
yes, it does.
And we've seen our fair share of one.
Yeah, I don't want to see any more ever.
Yeah, would totally agree. And I wasn't even there, and it felt like I was. So, all right, boys, we're going to start off with an update on the Florida high school baseball playoffs as well as the softball playoffs. Kind of funny, the baseball playoffs are ahead of the softball playoffs. I don't know when that started happening, but nonetheless, the two teams that were alive last week are still alive in the 941. Venice won their regional semifinal in 2 games over George Jenkins, so they moved on to the regional finals. Best of 3 starts this coming Friday night against the 6th seed Winter Haven, who have pulled a couple of upsets in their first 2 rounds. So Venice and Winter Haven Friday night at 7. Saturday, well, it says 1 o'clock. They started at 11 this week. Who knows when they're going to start at the game 2, and then game 3, if necessary, usually is about 30 minutes or so after the second game. And the Charlotte Tarpons, who are the number 1 seed in their region, that's Class 5A Region 3, they won their semifinal over East Bay in 2 games, and they'll play 7th-seeded Freedom beginning Friday night. So a couple of teams pulling a couple of upsets and going to try to knock off the top seeds in our region in the high school baseball playoffs. So good luck to our local teams. The softball in 7A, the 4th seed Venice will host 5th seed Plant City, while 2nd seeded Sarasota takes on 7th seed Sumner. A lot of familiar faces in that. 6A, Parish Community is the 1 seed, and they'll host 8th seed Sun Lake. In 5A, Charlotte is the 4th seed, and they will host 5th seed Gulf Coast. In 3A, Lemon Bay is the 5th seed, but they're a district champion, Coach, and I know you're familiar with this. Yep. And they will be taking on 4th seed Tampa Robinson. Very good program. Able to get revenge after 2 losses to DeSoto in the regular season. You got them in the district finals, and you got to play them at home as well.
Yeah, it was it's one of those things where the FHSAA gets the rankings from Max Preps, and we all know those have been wacky, but we were fortunate enough to get that game at home, and the girls played an outstanding game, top to bottom, fielded outstanding, hit the ball, got runs across the plate when you're supposed to, and you know what's the word? You survive in advance, right?
Right.
At this stage of the game, it's about doing what you got to do to win. It doesn't matter who you play because everybody's good at this point. So,
yeah. Hey, Coach John here. I wanted to ask you a question. Are you liking this new format? In regards to is it more about the weekend or what's your? A lot of people are sort of tepid about this.
Well, the one part I think in baseball, it makes sense because of pitching. Softball plays the same pitchers, so yeah. I mean the same pitcher pitches every game for the most part. So I don't see why that's an issue in softball, but in baseball, I think, you're rewarding the teams that have bigger staffs, where, in a one game scenario, anybody could beat anybody depending on the matchups. And we all know, we've been around sports long enough to know the pitching matchup is the whole ball game. If you have them, you're in great shape. If you don't, you're not. So,
and that is the truth, because you can see, all you need to have is one good pitcher who can get you, especially if it was the old one and done kind of scenario. But then you have to pick when do you want to throw that guy, and do you take a chance on this or that? So there's a little bit of strategy, but I think now everybody's got their number one starter coming out on the first night, because they have a week to sit back, especially if you had a game where you only threw a guy, maybe you're one couple innings or something like that. So interesting format. I know they try different things all the time. I mean, I give them a little credit for that, but sometimes it just seems like they throw things at the wall and see what sticks, and then they make a change afterwards. They've done it with football. They've done it with all kinds of different sports.
Well, for the last few years, they've been real big on like player safety and pitch counts and all that, right? And then we're going to play 3 games in 2 days.
Yeah.
So where did that go? What happened there?
In the dead of the day on Saturday, 2 games in a row. That doesn't necessarily, not the safety is really not
right. I mean, for years that was the reason there was so many breaks, right? Got to give the pitchers rest. And now we're going to play 3 games in 2 days. So
no doubt
about it. They threw that right out the window. But I think they need more transparency. I know there's a big push right now in the coaching world to appeal to the FHSAA to get way more transparency from Max Preps on how all of this works. I understand Max Preps angst and not giving out their algorithm, because then other people can copy what they do and then they'd have rivals to what they do. But there's so many matches that are made that just don't make sense in any way, shape, or form. So,
well, I don't think anybody in any sport really has figured it out, because you turn around 1 minute and you think, oh, it's hey, a tougher schedule is supposed to get you something there and this and that, and then you don't even see it, even in the national rankings, which again, you can't be. You should be happy to be anywhere in the national ranking in the top 25 or whatever it may be. But even that's got some silliness to it, where people are saying, "Well, how does that measure up? And why is this team get ahead of another team?" And they don't tell you. They must have whenever they made the deal that makes Max Prep the sort of the holy grail in regards to rankings. They must have promised secrecy, till they hit the ground. And the cold ground, I should say, because they're not letting anybody in on it. So
no, there's a lot of money involved in that too that we don't see.
So. Well, it's like anything else. Like so, how certain things are sort of governed has always been a very interesting format as well. So who knows? But
the one factor that has to factor in higher than it does is those head-to-head matchups mean something.
Yeah. Right.
If you beat a team twice, right, and you're playing them in a championship game, how are you on the road?
Right.
Yeah. Against the same team,
and you're saying
you beat twice.
Right. And you're saying this, and you actually benefited from that.
Yeah, we did, because we played home and beat them. And I mean, it is what it is. We're all playing by the same rules right now. But I'm just saying, from any sports logic would tell you that if you're playing in a district championship game against a team that you've already played twice and you've beaten them twice, how are you on the road? It just makes no sense to me.
No, I totally agree.
But if we knew how they put it together,
right,
we'd have an answer. But we don't.
Even if you didn't like the answer, the answer. That's the
right. There's so much hocus pocus in it. You just don't. Don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it looks like I'm going to be the invisible man for this podcast, and we're just going to keep going, and hopefully my picture will show up at some point. But that's okay. I have a face for radio, so it's all good. Anyway,
you're probably comfortable right now, right, Richard?
Yeah, I'm extremely comfortable. I don't have to be self-conscious. I can look up at the game I'm watching, and you guys won't even know it. So it's a beautiful thing. So anyway, a couple other games in our area. You mentioned DeSoto; they're the 7th seed. And they have to travel to Academy of the Holy Names, the 2 seed in the Class 3A playoffs. And then 2A, 5 seed Cardinal Mooney is on the road at fourth seed Tampa Catholic. That's a rivalry that goes back many, many years. So good luck to all of our local teams in the 941 as we roll through the playoffs. I know the baseball's championships Final Four are at Hammond Stadium in Fort Myers. Coach, tell me where the softball, where is that?
It's been held in Claremont.
Okay.
At a big national complex up there, and it's really nice, and they do a great job. It doesn't have that big stadium feel. It has more of an AAU feel to it because there's a bunch of fields and a bunch of teams, and but it is a beautiful complex, and it's easy to get in and out of. There's plenty of hotels, plenty of places to eat. We were there a couple years ago, so I'm pretty sure that's where it still is. If it's moved, I'm not sure.
Well, and Coach, I got to ask you this, Coach. Like, isn't it nice though that in Claremont you have what I would call a central location for this stuff, for the travel, and places to stay, accessibility to the field. A lot of times in some of the other sports, that's not necessarily the case. I know they're trying to spread the wealth. I would think, again, talking about transparency, try to figure out how they pick and choose what fields to play at is another thing altogether as well. So
it's all based on how much it costs the FHSAA to run it. So whoever comes in with the best bid gets it.
Yeah, and I know that, and again, but like you know that too. Like, you got a team, some teams that it isn't fair for a team that has to travel 10 hours to a game in Miami as opposed to when you can have it somewhat centrally located. But
the whole Central Florida area is set up
for
to host events.
Right.
There's every complex known to mankind from Claremont to Orlando.
And plenty of hotels.
Yeah, plenty of hotels. Football championships, basketball championships should all be in Orlando. Volleyball. There's plenty of places to do it. And that's central, Everybody comes to the middle,
Yeah. All right. So there you have it. The playoffs, baseball and softball. The 941 Sports Zone presented, as always, by Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida, 941-251-4257. We say this all the time. They're locally owned, but they have national backing, which is great, and they deliver exceptional roofing for homes and businesses up and down the Gulf Coast. Well, normally we would start with some of the playoffs, either NHL or NBA, but we've got a pretty cool local story here in the 941. Kentucky Derby 152. Now, of course, you guys both know that I am near and dear to horse racing, so this is a big day for me. And it's actually a big day for Southwest Florida and Lemon Bay in particular, because graduate Cherie DeVoe, who's been one heck of a trainer on the rise, used to work for Chad Brown, who's one of the best in the business. She's gone out on her own. She's got some tremendous horses, and one of them is Golden Tempo, who ran in the Derby. Was a 23-1 long shot and was 6 lengths last a half mile into the race. But Jose Ortiz very patiently rode the horse, and this is the type of race the horse likes to run and likes to make one long sustained run. And he managed to keep the horse out of trouble. Didn't get stopped. Got stopped one time, but not really. I mean, he was able to steady the horse and guide it to the outside, and he went outside of the horse to beat, Renegade, and beat him on the square, beat him by a neck. And Cherie DeVoe makes history. First woman trainer to win a Kentucky Derby. And, Coach, she did it with her first Derby starter. There's some guys out there that are going, it's not that easy. Come on.
Yeah, she made our whole community so proud. And this is, as a coach and as a teacher, all the things you talk about with kids is doing everything you can, within your power to help these kids get to where they want them to go, no matter how far-fetched you thought it may be at the time, right? Mm-hmm. And she had that dream, back in high school. She was boarding horses with the Rowleys in town. Mm-hmm. She was barrel racing. She did all that kind of stuff here locally. Her parents obviously were a big factor in moving on, and she had a dream to go do that, and she did it. And not only did she do it, Rich, but she did it the way you're supposed to do it.
Mhm.
That she was not born on third base, bud. She started, at the bottom and worked her way through, and on sheer talent, right? And having the right personality and the right frame of mind and working and the knowledge and having some expertise and then learning the business from Brown. She put herself in a great position, got herself backed, made enough money to go do this on her own. She wanted to do it on her own, but wasn't sure whether could do it or not. Financially got backed, from doing the things that she did, and her husband said, "Hey, man, let's do this," and she did it, and it was, like you said, the race itself, comes out of the gate kind of slow, kind of
Mhm.
works its way to the back, but I coached track for a long time. I didn't really panic, I was kind of surprised that he didn't move up a little earlier. But
Mhm.
when he got to the backstretch, my wife and I looked at each other and we're like, he's moving a lot faster than the rest. Like,
Yeah,
Mhm.
he
you can
started
see
picking
that.
horses off left and right, and like they were standing still on the backstretch, even some of those horses that were in the back. And then when he got, to the top of the turn, he had, like you said, there was a little gap to the inside, and I think he was going to shoot it, and it sort of closed off. And he just sort of worked his way to the outside and just let the horse run. He didn't really, put the whip to it that much. You know what I mean? He just let him run. And I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. And then, when he surged ahead, we are screaming at our television, fighting back tears because it's just so cool to watch somebody go from where they were to where they are now. And that is just as a coach and a teacher and a mentor and all that stuff that we tag ourselves with. It was so rewarding. And then my phone just starts blowing up, you know, blowing up. Oh my God, did that just happen? Yes, that just happened. So super cool moment.
No,
Super.
there's no doubt about that. I was going to say one thing too. As you're describing the race, I think that the revolutionizing horse racing is the drone camera.
Oh
Because
my goodness,
what
yes.
Fantastic.
you see how fast that horse was going, and watch how he glided through all that traffic and just
Never broke
never
stride, just sort of
broke
changed
stride.
angles.
Even at the top of the stretch, like you said, he nailed the timing, so he wasn't getting pushed out too far. And
Right.
and once you make the turn, it's just a sprint. It doesn't matter how far out to the left or right or whatever you are at that point.
Yeah.
And of course, like the normal track in the normal situation, your eyes are pinned on the front two or three horses, and then you look over to the left side of the screen, and boy, that horse was moving, and you can see you almost could, you look and say it's good. It's no way that horse is not going to win. If too much momentum, other horses are dragging through the field a little bit, and what a great ride by the jockey, and the horse is well trained, obviously.
Kudos, by the way, to the bright red cap.
Yeah, you could
Wasn't it
definitely
easy
see
to
him. Yeah,
see?
it was very
Yeah.
easy to pick the horse out. No
Yeah, it
question about
was.
Yeah.
Amongst all those black colored hats and dark blues and
Yep.
that bright red cap was pretty easy to pick out.
Yeah, and the horse. That's the way the horses run. He came through the fairgrounds, did all his prep races at the fairgrounds, ran in all three preps there. And it's funny listening to Cherie this morning when she was on the Today Show and also on Barstool. Watched a couple of interviews. They ran those prep races not to win. I mean, they wanted to win, but the whole idea was to get enough points to get in the race, and the horse will keep improving. And she knew from the bloodlines that this horse is going to continue to mature, and it was certainly, she's got a great head on her. And I know, Coach, you and her, you guys were texting today. I know you guys have a relationship. She's a grad of 2000. You've been a teacher there since the old high
93.
school. Since the old high school,
Yeah.
when it would rain a quarter of an inch and it'd flood in the middle of the courtyard. But all kidding aside, it must just have been the coolest thing. And then to talk to her today must have been tremendous.
Yeah, because when you have these situations, everybody and their mother is blowing her up, right? and Wink News called yesterday, so I was on the news. I filmed a segment with the new sports guy down there, Alex, super nice guy, young kid. He's going to be really good. He came up, met me at school yesterday. We talked for a bit. He put it on camera and ran it tonight. But I was just calling to, I just texted her and said, you know, I mean, not just after the race, but like this morning, like after it was over, you know, I said, you really have to see the reaction to what's going on here. It's really impressive how you've rallied this town behind you. It's just really cool to see, and knowing, your personality, it's just really cool. And she sent me a text message back, which she didn't have to do because, like I said, there's way more important people than me that are texting her. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But she took the time and replied and said, "Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I'm grateful for all of the people in Englewood that helped me out. The Rowleys in particular, and all of them. And then we had to find a yearbook because I wanted to get some pictures of her as a high school student.
Mm-hmm.
The weird part is her graduating year, there were more books sold than were ordered.
Oh.
And we keep them for record. So nobody, my wife's the yearbook sponsor. It's the only book she doesn't have.
It's 2000.
Is the 2000. So I had the 98 and the 99. We have a couple teachers on staff that are 2000 grads. So I said to him, "Hey, do you have your yearbook?" And one person said, "Oh, I may have it at home." And the other guy's like, I that's the one I don't have. And I'm like, "Oh my goodness." So I took a shot and I went down to the library and I asked Kim Grossenbacher, who's our media specialist, "Hey, do we have a 2000 yearbook?" And she has the only copy.
Wow.
So I went and snapped a bunch of pictures out of there. I think I sent them to you. Did I send those to you? I don't know if I sent them to you.
I don't know if you sent them directly to me, but I did see them. I saw some on Facebook. I saw
Yeah.
some. I've been seeing them all over the place. I think her sister's also been posting a lot of pictures from when they were younger.
Yeah, she played softball. She was an outfielder on the softball team. And funny, the uniform, they wore shorts and like a vest. It was really weird. I'm like, that's what we wore for uniforms? I'm a uniform guy. I'm like, we could do better than that. But then she reposted the pictures. So, in between interviews and, Barstool and Today Show and all that stuff, she took the time to reach out, and I was pretty grateful for that. So,
a lot of the winners from all around this area, the graduates from different high schools, which you find out they have some shared DNA, and they're very grounded people, and they're always very sort of I say very generous with their time for the locals, because it means a lot to them too to be able to be recognized in the community and then do something for the community. And I think that's what sort of propels them to be successful, because again, it doesn't they don't get too far away from where they came from and their grounding and stuff. Like I said, even in her situation, where how she came up through the ranks, like you said, that is the way to do it, and it validates you to other people in the industry, because they say to yourself, "Oh, you just didn't sort of get lucky or do this."
That's
or do
right.
that. And so all of that is very much, there's a common thread to the successful people that I've run across. They have a grounded way about them, and they're appreciative, and they will and love to take the time to share the wealth, so to speak, or share the spotlight in some ways. So everything you just said does not surprise me, because that is built into the DNA of a lot of the different so-called high level or superstar returning home kind of people in our area. The ones that are successful understand that.
Yeah, for sure. And I have a bottle of Woodford Reserve that I got for Christmas with the Kentucky Derby logo on it. And I did send her a text that said, "When you're home, you're signing this bottle."
Yeah, no doubt about it.
That will sit on my shelf for a while, I think. So
and you talk about home, okay, and you talk about her, her ties still with Lemon Bay. You've been talking to her over the past couple of years. In fact, why don't you tell me the stories you?
Yeah, I mean,
tell us?
she follows all of our social media pages, and so every once in a while, if there's something that needs to be done, I'll give you an example. A year ago, one of the teachers had posted that there were some students who could not afford their senior dues,
Okay.
which included the graduation packages and grad bash and all the events that go on. And she reached out to me privately and said, "Hey, if there's people that need their stuff paid for, me and a couple other people, we have some people that will take care of them. I just need their names and who I need to get in touch with." And I said, "Well, I'll take care of it." You know what I mean? And hooked her up with the right people. She also is usually here on scholarship night and gives out scholarships to seniors. This year, though, she's not going to be able to come this year. The scholarship that she was giving, she's not giving, only because she has there's some medical issues with some other family members, and she's been helping them out. But but there's no doubt in my mind that she's always been willing and able to lend a helping hand when there's somebody that needs some help, and that's just how she is. So
yeah, that's just the coolest. I was very touched by that, and that certainly is fantastic to hear. She and her team have not made a decision yet on whether they're going to run in the Preakness. I know she told the Today Show today that they'll make a decision by the end of the week. They have to, obviously. It's only a 2-week run up to the race. The horse that won the Derby last year, Sovereignty, decided to skip the Preakness, won the Belmont, and won another race. I won the Travers in Saratoga, and ended up being Horse of the Year. And this kind of brings up a little bit of controversy, not to turn this into a horse racing show, but the way they used to do things, I think, is not the way they do things now. But by that, I mean the Triple Crown is run over a 5-week stretch. You run 3 races. Back in the old days, horses would run every 7 days, every 14 days. They don't do that anymore. A lot of times horses need a month, 5 weeks. That seems to be the ballpark where horse racing is. And there's a lot of controversy because there are some people that want to spread the races out a little more. And then there are others that think, well, it's the tradition. It's the way it's been forever. It's supposed to be hard, kind of thing. So you got to wrestle with that. And everybody that talks about this talks about the horse, because the horse will tell you if it wants to run. And, that sounds kind of funny, but it really is true. I mean, if the horse doesn't bounce back from the race, obviously you don't want to throw it in the Preakness. God forbid something terrible happens, to the horse, and then the spotlight goes on you, that you kind of greed went into it. Bill Mott, the trainer of Sovereignty last year, he didn't care. He was like, listen, this is not what the horse does. The horse runs every 5 weeks. We're not going to run him in the Preakness. I'm sorry. I know the folks in Baltimore are disappointed. This year it's Laurel Park, but unfortunately, we're thinking about the horse, and it'll be interesting to see what they decide, because the Triple Crown is a big thing. I mean, the horse can end up being go to stud and make millions going to stud too, but if
you can do that anyway, though, right? With being Kentucky Derby winner.
Yeah, and they should, but if you're Triple Crown, you just multiply it by, justify. I think every time he shoots, it's like 50 grand, and so exactly. It's a great life if you can get it.
Yeah, yes.
But
Rich, I was hearing what you were saying about that, and I think the bottom line is you said about what they did in the past, and now it is a lot about money. You know what I'm saying? And rightfully so. These horses are investments to the owners. And then a win at the Kentucky Derby is what a cash in that situation. And you wouldn't want something tragic to happen to the horse. There's no way you'd want that to happen by any stretch of the imagination. However, I'd ask the question, like last year, if you would have lost the Kentucky Derby, are you racing the Preakness next time? You know what I'm saying? What would you do? And I get that, so and you're right. And it's probably some of the training now that they're not pushing the horses too much. They get them in a situation. Look, to me, I'm listening to them like, it sounds like we're talking like Major League Baseball about these pitchers. Guys used to throw all the time, and they could throw 100 pitches was nothing, to these starters. Look at some of the numbers they posted, and now, heck, you can't make it 5 innings if the pitch count's not right. And and then they're all getting Tommy John surgery for and they're in their 20s. So it's I think it's training. I think it's what the expectation is. And in the case of horse racing and in baseball, man, it's money. You don't want to be pushing too hard. You want to get some years under your belt before you start, becoming a workhorse somewhere or whatever that may be. So I think money always is the changing situation, and how you train it has changed quite a bit in all sports.
And it's funny you bring that up because there is major news out of baseball today that Tigers starter Tariq Skubal is going to have elbow surgery and is going to be out 2 to 3 months. And a lot of people criticized him for not going full bore at the World Baseball Classic. He's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. And now with this surgery, what happens? A lot of people thought he might get traded, at the trade deadline, and the Tigers would get, quite a haul, probably from the Dodgers. But now, he's got some quote unquote loose bodies in his elbow. Well, what does that mean? What if they get in there and they find the UCL is messed up and it's Tommy John? So it's funny you brought that up as a kind of a parallel, because again, they talk about, pitchers, they go 5 and hey, all right, shake hands and we'll leave it up to the bullpen to get 12 outs. And it's a totally different game, baseball and horse racing.
Yep, no doubt. It's not the same. Same track, same baseball field, same everything, same 9 guys. But it's how things are. And again, it's money, individual money. It's the investment for the teams. And in horse racing, obviously, it's the stud fees. It's all the different things go into that. And it's just it turns it right as soon as they crossed the line with the win and it got posted. That horse, the value probably went up to 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 fold. That's what it probably was. So,
all right. So we'll all wait that decision. We're recording this on Monday night, so probably a few more days before we find out if Golden Tempo runs. And he's not scaring anybody away. It sounds like there could be as many as 15 horses in the Preakness. So we'll wait and see how that goes. All right. The 941 Sports Zone, presented as always by Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida, locally owned, nationally backed. They go up and down the Gulf Coast, delivering exceptional roofing for not only homes, but also businesses. 941-251-4257 is the number. 941-251-4257. All right, we're going to get to a little somber note here on the 941 Sports Zone. The death of the Tampa Bay Lightning last night. Losing 2-1 to the Canadiens in 7 one-goal games. And John, I thought, you and I talked a little bit, and Coach, we'll get you in on this too.
Yeah.
You said something earlier when we were kind of doing a little pre-show talk. It's interesting how the Lightning score all these goals in the regular season and they get to the playoffs, especially the last 4 years. They've now lost in the first round, and they've lost 5 consecutive series. If you go back to the Stanley Cup final against Colorado back in 22, they're not scoring the same amount of goals. They're getting older. Their average age is 30. And I've heard a lot of this talk. I even heard a lot of this talk last year, but I'm really hearing it now. Might be time to blow this thing up.
Yeah. I mean, I where do you start? Most of the time when you start the blow up process, you get rid of the coach. That's the easiest thing to do. You don't get rid of the whole team, you get rid of the coach. But obviously he's probably I think he would probably say this. He's probably one of the top 3 coaches in the NHL. Wherever he go, he won't be unemployed if that's to happen for more than
5 minutes.
5 seconds. Right.
Yeah.
So he'll be back. He'll be there. So not so that maybe you don't want to do that, but there's got to be some choices here. This is not changing 4th line guys out. This is 1st line guys, with especially the defensive side. And I also made a weird analogy. I know you probably remember this a little bit too, but like how they can look like just an absolute, just the astonishingly good team that cannot be stopped. And my comparison was another skating thing was figure skating for men this year. You had the quad god, and he can do 7 different 4 flips and this and that stuff. And but all he needs to do to win is just put it in third gear and just do some triples, and he could win. To me, the analogy is you go out there and you don't play loose, you play tight, and that little bit of stuff that can mess you up. So the quad god can go out there, and as soon as he's going for the gold, he can't do anything. He forgets how to do with his quads. It seems like the Lightning have the same problem. They get on the ice and they don't play. They just kind of get into a sort of like a daze, and then also they go down one, and then they play the next 10 minutes like the Stanley Cup champion that they could be, and then they score and they go back into that malaise again. So, is a coach not motivating? Are we not? Is there not like this sort of you have to be playing with that angst that you've got to do well? I just see that, and that's what's frustrating about the Lightning in particular. That you look at them and you're like, man, they're better than this. For 45 minutes, they don't play well. They try to do it in 15, and they let other teams. Not that Montreal's not good. They let other teams stay in it. If they stay in it, that 2-1 overtime goals. This is what the Lightning have been like for 4 years. Boy, they got to figure out if they can get somebody motivated or kick them into gear in the playoffs, because they're not playing up to their potential now for at least the last 2 years in my estimation.
But are they? I mean, is this have they topped out? I mean, that's the other thing, and I'll throw this to you, Coach. They played a lot of extra hockey. I mean, when you win Stanley Cups, you play almost a third of a season in the playoffs.
Yeah, all their forwards up front too are older.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying? They are older.
Kucher's
Even they addressed it. I thought the rookie played good, but I thought they tried to out Montreal instead of play the way you play. They got into all the shenanigans after. I grew up a Red Wings fan, so I can tell you, I'm back with the the Bash brothers and Probert and all those guys. They got under people's skin. It's like Montreal, after every single whistle, is poking, rubbing a face. It's like they just baited him into all this stuff instead of just skating. Like when Lightning are really good, they're so fast. And yesterday, especially, they didn't look fast at all. They looked really slow and deliberate. And I'll say this too, because I don't watch as many hockey games as you guys watch, I'm sure. But how good was Dobish though? Like he was good. We were sending shot after shot after shot, and he was just turning them away. He was
very solid, just a solid guy in the net. He didn't stand on his head in a lot of cases. He just made the saves. No loose pucks in the crease. Did a lot of stuff. And you're right, Coach. That's what you made a good point there. They did play the Canadiens game.
Yes.
They danced their dance. They didn't push the tempo or push their style. They allowed Montreal to control it, and it took them into these 2-1 games. And really, at that point, you'd like to think that overtime hockey is the best team wins, but sometimes when it's a tie, it's always it's a sloppy goal. It's something in the crease.
Yeah, to go off somebody's back, off a skate, off a water bottle. I mean,
so you're taking the Lightning's talent and you're watering it down during the game, and then you're saying to yourself, now it's a coin flip. Let's go out there and try to make a play and take some risk and do whatever. And what did they win? 2 out of the 4 or 3 out of whatever they did in overtime. So what do you do? I mean, but again, that's why I say I know John Cooper can sit there and say, of course I know this is what's going on, but knowing and then fixing it are 2 entirely different things. And that's got to be a decision made by the people in the front office, say like, hey, maybe it's time that we need to figure out, maybe we get something for Kucherov now that can bring us to a young superstar, maybe another guy in there, who knows, but they need a little something to get him out of the first round. Because if they don't, I'll promise you this: if they do the same thing next year, John Cooper will be gone.
Interesting thought there. Yeah, Kucherov, final year of his contract, going to be 33 this year. Hedman, the story still hasn't come out why he didn't play. A lot of personal stuff there. I don't know exactly what's going on. Nobody does. Braden Point wasn't very good either, which I thought was a key. I thought he was a difference maker, and he couldn't do his thing the entire. They just basically laid on him, and Montreal had a great game plan.
He was always good when he was flying around.
Mm-hmm.
I remember even back in the Colorado series, a few years back. My wife, she's a Rays fan, so we watch baseball all the time.
Yes, you do.
But we flip on the Lightning game, and and I didn't say anything, and I'm just watching her, and she's like, "My God, these guys move so fast," and I'm like, "Yeah, that's why they're good. I mean, they move so quick, and I don't know if it's a style of play or whether they're missing key pieces. They just don't seem to be playing at the tempo and the style, like you said. Maybe regular season's different. It's like NBA is the same way.
Yeah,
You watch NBA games in the regular season and then the playoffs, and it's a whole different ball game.
Yep. I'll say this about Point. And that's a great. I thought about it too. Game 6, he gets just wrapped in the face with a high stick, right?
Yeah.
Bloody. He looks a mess, and the coaches are complaining and whatnot. Nobody came out and kicked that guy's ass.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to get a penalty on him. He's standing right there. Now, granted, he may not have done it on purpose, but nonetheless, you don't get your stick up like that and hit your second best player on your team and hit him in the chops, and there's no ramifications. They did nothing. Why was Point not motivated to do it? I don't get that.
He's a little guy. There's other guys that are supposed to take care of that.
Rich, that's what I'm saying.
That's a very good point. Yep.
When John Cooper got done and didn't get his satisfaction from the referee, he should have turned to the guy on the bench and said, "Go get me a piece of flesh, because we're not going to have our guy have his teeth knocked out, and they're going to say, oh, it was inadvertent," or whatever the call was on that. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous that nobody did anything about that. And I think that's, to me, I'm like, where was that playoff hockey mentality? You went right back to the dance. They came off the bench and look, they went to the face-off circle. It looked like it was a normal, like nothing had happened. And then Points on the bench with a towel full of blood. Nothing, and they're right back to the same tempo. Made no sense to me whatsoever.
All right, so the NHL playoffs quickly. Montreal now gets Buffalo. Game 1 of that series is Wednesday night. In Buffalo. Should be a very interesting series. Two young teams who can really skate. I think this is going to come down to goaltending, and if that's the case, I kind of favor Montreal a little bit, because I, like you guys, really thought Dobish played very well. I know he's a rookie.
Yeah, he's a rookie, right? Yeah, I thought he played great.
Yeah, I really did, and he's very level-headed. Lightning did rush him a couple of times in the series, and he just did his thing. So.
Again, not being a hockey guy, right? He takes a puck to the face.
Yep.
It knocks his, latches off. They go down to the other end. He takes his glove off.
Puts his latch. Yep.
Just fix. I mean, his poise was. I was like, oh my God! Like, this kid's a rookie. Like he was. Like I said, I'm not a. I don't watch 100 hockey games a year. But I was super impressed with him. I thought he was. I mean, the one time, right? We had outshot them. I don't know, 18-1 or 2.
Yeah.
Right. And at one point in time, if I heard this correctly, like, we held them no shots on net in a period.
Yep.
In a period.
For the
first time ever.
Yeah.
And by the
Montreal
way,
Canadiens
I do know enough about hockey to know that Montreal's been playing hockey for a long time.
Yes.
But that's never happened.
Yeah.
I think part of that was Cooper's lines, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I thought his lines matching was good, but
and like I said, like even with even Montreal, I don't think Dobish was standing on his head. He was making solid saves, but then it goes back the opposite direction, and Vasi has to make 26 saves on his head.
Yeah.
Montreal clearly was having the more high danger chances in the series. There's no.
So if you're going to play that way, put your goalie at risk. The Lightning, if they were if the Lightning had gotten to 4 goals, okay, they're probably going to win those games, and they never did, and they didn't play like it. They played Montreal's tempo, Montreal's game, And like I said, just never seemed to come out of it because in that situation will point with the stick. Sort of, I'm like, I was like, I wanted to go fight. I'm like, I'm watching. I'm like, don't hit that guy. You can't let that happen.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. The other series in the Eastern Conference, Carolina and Philadelphia, they're actually playing as we record. Philadelphia is actually leading after 2 periods in that game. The game 1 of Anaheim and Vegas. Interesting series. A couple of teams that weren't expected to be there, and then 2 teams that were expected to be there. I know after the Lightning game, a lot of people went to bed or what have you. I stayed up and watched a little bit of this Minnesota-Colorado series. 5-4 after, or 5-5 after 2. Colorado leads 3-0. Minnesota says, "Oh, hold my beer." They score 5 of the next 6 goals. Colorado ends up winning 9-6. Colorado is a wagon. I would be very surprised, especially if they get through this series, if they're not in the Cup final. And I would think they're a solid favorite. They just have too much firepower. I know there's questions in goal, but if you can put the puck in the back of the net, think about that. They scored 9 goals in 1 game. The Lightning scored 15 goals in 7 games.
Right.
Yeah. That's
and
put
I
things
think
in perspective.
That series is going to be very, very entertaining. Colorado won the Cup, what, Rich? 2 or 3 years? When did they win the Cup?
2022. They beat the Lightning. 2022.
Okay, that's right. All right, you're right. And they played that style. You know, they were. It was high scoring. They had guys that could shoot, score, everything. And man, when they're on, it's tough to beat. I mean, they remind me of they're the Golden State of hockey. You know, they can all shoot the 3, so to speak, and they put points on the
their
board.
Their crowd is pretty impressive.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Yeah. I have few people that have been to Ball Arena. They said that place is unreal, and the way it's set up, the noise just goes right down to the ice and comes right back up. That's what you want. You want to have an arena where you have a serious home ice advantage. Not to mention the fact that you're also playing in altitude, which a lot of people don't talk about. That's a completely different. And Colorado has a huge advantage because they get to do it 41 times a year plus playoffs. So. All right. The Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida bringing you this edition and every edition of the 941 Sports Zone. Hard to believe, John. We're on 37 episodes already.
I know.
I mean, we're getting close to the year.
We're aging ourselves.
Yeah. Please, let's not talk about aging anyway. 941-251-4257 is the number. 941-251-4257.
And I'm Rich. I'm voting for we called, instead of calling ourselves the 941 Sports Zone, the rest of the night, it's the Masked Sports Zone. So we have to figure out who is it really Rich in that third block left, or is it somebody else? Like, it could be anybody. It could be.
The camera's going to come back on. He's going to have the hard hat with the 2 beer helmet, the 2 beers on the side with the straw. Let me take it.
That would be very cool. But like I said, a lot of people say I'm in the dark all the time. All right. Now, unfortunately, this comes the painful part for Coach Huber.
Yeah.
With the NBA playoffs, Orlando. I heard an interesting stat, Coach.
That Jalen Suggs shot 19%?
No, more interesting than that. More interesting than that. Okay. I know you're from Detroit.
I heard that one.
Yeah. So
yeah, I was a member of the Pistons club when I was in junior high.
Yeah.
Used to go down and watch Isaiah Thomas and the boys. Yeah. I was a Pistons guy.
So Cade Cunningham, first 4 games with Franz Wagner on him, shot 25%.
Yeah.
Wagner gets hurt in game 4. He shoots over 50% from the field, over 60% from 3.
Yeah.
Scores 109 points in the final 3 games. It's no coincidence that Detroit ended up winning the series, although the Friday night collapse, obviously that cost
painful.
That cost Coach's job, unfortunately. Well, we kind of knew he was dead man walking anyway. I thought he might have been able to save things if he would have won this series. Then they've got.
And I could argue that if they won that series, the next one they could probably win too.
Yeah, Cleveland. Yeah, I'm with you.
But the East is wide open.
Yes,
there's nobody in the East that you say, "Oh, there's a solid." They took everybody, and in Detroit, sort of. I mean, I had spoke a couple weeks ago. I wasn't quite sure, if Detroit. I mean, they're a 1 seed by what they did over the regular season, but they didn't really overwhelm me. I wasn't surprised that Orlando played him so well. I was just surprised at how bad Orlando played in that game 6 situation, where the crowd was amped up, and the last 2 quarters of the game were just terrible. I'll leave it at that because I have something to say about this as well, Rich, later on in another one of our segments. So
maybe the what's bugging me segment. Yeah. Okay, I got you.
It had to do with them ruining a couple hours of my vacation. So I didn't.
Coach Mosley lost his job. Coach, you can't survive that. You just and I know. Listen, if they have Wagner, they probably win the series.
Yeah,
I mean, especially when you lay out the stats like that, Cunningham being a non-factor to Cunningham going off.
And I'll be honest with you, and I don't know why, but the injuries with this team and those 3 guys, when you're talking about Suggs and Banchero and Wagner, when they played this season, they played 20% of the season.
Yeah,
together. And last year too, and the year before that too. So part of it, yes, you're gonna say the coach needed to do some things different. I mean, as a coach, basketball coach, there's a lot of things I would have done different. But I'm not in the locker room.
Right.
But ultimately, what's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Right, and that's what you saw. I mean, even the novice, non-X's and O's guy could see that Detroit moved the ball and Orlando didn't.
Yeah.
When Orlando got transition baskets and were moving the ball and it was like hot potato, they got good looks and scored the ball. And the minute it became dribble, pick and roll, they blitz trapped the pick and roll because they weren't worried about – because what they were trying to do was whoever Duncan Robinson was guarding was being involved in the pick and roll,
right?
Because he's the worst defender of the 5 they had playing. So a lot of time, and then Detroit countered by having him guard a guard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So now you got, Suggs ball screening with Bane. Well, that's not the action you're looking for.
No.
And instead of countering and maybe starting off the ball, a little double staggered screen, right? Go get the ball back, a little dribble handoff. Or now, you know what I mean? Now you can get 2 guys to make a decision. They stayed with the same stuff and literally no post in the paint. It was a 5 out. The lane is wide open. And, it became, when Detroit figured it out, they just got up in all the passing lanes. They created all kinds of turnovers, and they basically said, okay, so Paolo's going to get his 30.
Right. You're right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Paolo, do your thing.
Right. I was sitting there waiting on my Guinness at Irish Kevin's, and I'm looking down and talking to the waitress, and I'm like, oh, they must have called the timeout because it's the same play I just saw when I put my head down 3 minutes ago.
Yeah.
It was the same bad. I mean, and they're getting off a shot with 2.6 seconds left on the 24-second clock, and it's a guy with a hand in their face. It's a fadeaway jumper from 27 feet. I mean, they weren't even close on some of those shots. And I'm thinking to myself, did they think they have 100-point lead? And then next thing you know, it's boom. It was that fast, and they never fixed it in time. And there you go. That was the situation. Crazy.
So with the money tied into them, you're pretty much committed to the bulk of that roster.
Yeah.
Unless you trade a piece.
Yeah, but there's a lot of money in those pieces, and those big money pieces are really hard to move.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to trade those, 10 to 15 million guys, but when you got 35, 45, 50 million wrapped into 3 dudes,
yeah,
they're hard to move. And for what? I don't think it's the movement though. Like, I really think, Rich and I, we've talked about this off the air quite a bit. If they had, if they went after,
regardless of how the NBA has changed, I don't care what anybody tells you. Yes, it has become more of a positionless sport.
Mm-hmm.
However, with one exception, is when you have an elite point guard, you're winning. Go down the rosters, they're winning.
Mm-hmm.
When you have Brunson, when you have everybody forgets Indiana has, Halliburton's out, but he'll be back.
Yep.
Right. But when you had Halliburton and him and Donovan Mitchell, I mean, these are elite point guards, and Orlando does not have an elite point guard. They just
No.
don't. Suggs is the guy I'm looking to move. I'd be moving Suggs.
And he was
And-
supposed to be the elite point guard, wasn't he, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, he has his energy is fantastic, right? Like he doesn't mope, right? He doesn't he chases balls down. He still blocks shots. He's still involved, but sometimes his decision making is really bad. And like I said before, jokingly, he shot 19% in the last 5 games.
There's no joke.
You can't do that and win.
Right.
To me,
That's
Coach,
not elite.
he plays very stiff. I'm like he looks like a long guy, and like I said, he doesn't seem to me like he has like that sort of that dexterity you see from Brunson. Can shoot from anywhere. Brunson can do a lot of different things. SGA, he's a league MVP, and he's killing people on mid-range jump shots, and he can penetrate and just sit there and hit a shot. I don't see like his game is not polished or complete. He just seems very stiff with how he plays the game, and I think that's hard because you're right. Point guards, they're guard play in the NCAA tournament. We talk about it, but in the NBA, it's just as important as anywhere else. I mean, look at the Lakers over the years. LeBron has been the point guard for the last 5 years.
He's not a point guard.
But he can do it, and he he uses physicality when he needs to.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's not necessarily you want your point guard to score every point. You want your point guard to get everybody else to score points. You're the tempo maker, and
you're the quarterback.
Yep.
Yep.
That's it.
It's simple. You're the quarterback, and when you don't have a quarterback, we all know this.
Yeah,
you can't win.
You ain't got nothing.
I mean, you're going to win your share of games, right? But
Right.
if you want to win the big one, right, you have to have elite guard play.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to. And, sets all start different ways. They don't always have to have a point guard initiate the set and all that kind of stuff. But I'm telling you, dude, first of all, Cade Cunningham is way bigger. I mean, I've seen him in person. He is way bigger than he looks on TV.
Okay.
I mean, he is a big point guard. He's not like Donovan Mitchell, who's a powerhouse, but he's shorter. You know what I'm saying? Brunson, Same thing. How about Tyrese Maxey? I mean, how good is he right now?
Right.
He's playing ridiculous right now. So, but you got to have an elite point guard, and we just don't have one. So, whoever the next coach is going to have to make that decision. Is this the guy we're going to go with? Am I going to get him right? Because I don't think he's without skill, because we've all seen it.
Right.
There's been nights where he goes crazy, but finding that consistent, dude that can just really be a calming, like when you're missing 18 shots in a row, that's where your point guard comes in and goes, okay, they're blaming the coach. Well, the coach should have done something. Well, there's 5 guys playing.
Right.
And where's the point guard to settle everybody down? Okay, we're going to get into this, and we're going to get a great look, right? I just never saw that out of Suggs, and I haven't. So I don't know I'm not saying he can't do it, because I've seen him do it in college.
Right.
I mean, he was that guy in college. Like when we when we drafted him, me and the boys were on the phone like, oh, thank God we finally got a point guard,
Right. It ain't happening.
Yeah, so there's some guys out there, though. Jamal Murray could be had. I don't know what Dallas is going to do with Kyrie. I told you, the flyer could be, you get the right coach in there, like a Thibodeau, and you bring in a guy like John Morant.
Right. Right.
Interesting.
Tibbs and Morant. I mean, Morant's kind of Tibbs kind of guy. And he's, he had Derrick Rose, had some issues too.
Yeah.
But Tibbs squared that up pretty quick. So,
Mhm.
there's a lot to be said. I think that though I heard this talk today and I couldn't have agreed more. Of all the jobs in the NBA that are going to open, we got the best one.
Yeah. Paulo's what, 23?
Yeah, we have the most talent and the deepest roster that's available. It's the most intriguing one.
Yeah.
Some other guys are looking at total rebuilds, which we're not doing.
Right.
So they need to hit a home run with this hire, whoever it is. And I don't want to hear Billy Donovan's name one more time.
I was just going to ask you because that's the
I
name
love
heard
Billy
today.
Donovan, but come on, bro. What has he done in the league?
Nothing. Chicago is very
average. Yeah.
I don't think Billy Donovan he's not a NBA coach. I mean, anybody with the right roster can do something, but I just never saw him as an NBA guy. I think he had to scratch that itch, and he's been scratching it for what, 7 years now, or however long, 6-7 years, and it hasn't.
And
really
they turned their roster over a lot. They got pieces that he wanted, and it just never, just never gelled together.
All right, Celtics also blew a 3-1 lead to Philadelphia. Thought that was kind of interesting, and Peyton Pritchard kind of paying for the words he used. I don't care if Embiid comes in. Well, you should have cared, because in Game 7, and there were a couple of times where it looked like he was going to come out of the game, and maybe old Joel Embiid might have came out of the game, but he looked like he was on a mission.
Yeah, he was motivated.
In that series. Yes, very motivated.
Well, Jaylen Brown started talking to him, and I'm like, I don't know if he wants to do that. Like, Embiid's better when he's disinterested.
Yeah, late in the game, he said something to Embiid to hit a step back three, and I'm like, that was right in your face, dude.
Yeah.
That was it. I was like, oh, man. He starts hitting that shot, forget about it there.
Yeah, I think if Embiid's disinterested, you see him with he starts doing this and starts doing, but when you start yapping at him, you just woke him up. Like, don't poke the bear, bud.
Right.
Don't poke the bear.
When he's healthy, he's
an animal.
One of the best centers in the game.
Absolutely.
Gianna, it's a very short list. So if he
can stay healthy, at his size, he can do some really impressive things with the basketball.
Yep. So Philly is actually playing the Knicks as we record this on Monday evening. Cleveland won their Game 7. Despite, and again, I'm a Cavs fan, so I'm going to say a couple of things that are not very popular, especially in Cleveland. They won despite Harden. Mitchell, I thought, was a little better, but Jared Allen. If Jared Allen plays like that, and it's interesting. Mobley got into foul trouble, and suddenly Allen became a beast. Maybe it's just not a dynamic with the two of them on the floor. I don't understand,
because both of those guys are so long and so athletic. Oh.
Yeah, they started blocking shots. Allen was blocking shots all over the place, in addition to his 19 rebounds. And Cleveland is that enigma. I mean, they could win this series against Detroit, and they could lose in 5. I mean, seriously, it all depends on number. What is he wearing? He's wearing number 1. Yeah, Mr. Harden. I'm not a fan. I've seen it too much in the playoffs. And even last night in the Game 7, he was meh. I mean, his free throws, thank goodness, because that's something that Cleveland's had problems with. And, he was getting to the rack, and at least he was getting fouled.
He's always been able to draw fouls and contact, especially if defenders put their arms out. I mean, if they have their hands out, you know what I mean? He will play right through those arms and throw up a shot and get that call all the time. When they brought him in, I wondered how they would blend he and Mitchell together, because they're both pretty ball dominant people.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I still think to some degree they're still trying to figure it out.
Oh yeah. But, it's only been not even it's been like 25 games.
But if their bigs play the way they played last night, they're really talented. And to be honest with you, against Detroit, that's the one thing that really bothered me with the Magic series too, is Wendell Carter was
Yeah.
like a no-show, bro.
Yes.
And when Duran doesn't have to defend the ball because the guy he's guarding has it, he's free to just run in there when somebody drives and just wipe off the rim. But if he has to play defense, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And he becomes a less of a factor on the boards and less of a factor blocking shots. And so, that's the matchup I'm interested in with Detroit. Because Stewart will have no shot at guarding either one of those guys.
Right.
He just won't. I mean, Duran, you know.
I know, John, you want to jump in there.
Yeah, well, listen, I was going to say to you, is this, you're talking about James Harden earlier, right? And how he fits. They've been saying that about James Harden for 15 years.
Yeah, no. I know.
At Oklahoma City, what are they going to do? James Harden is a ball hog, and he's got Westbrook and he's got Durant.
Durant, yeah.
He couldn't figure that out. Every team he's gone to right away, it's like, now what do we do? Because we can't get the ball from him. So I can tell you, you would have thought at this point that winning a championship to him is paramount to his career as far as capping off his legacy. I don't know if it is. I think he wants to get that ball, get over there, do a little step back jumper, his little signature move, and get him his 27. And hey, if other guys can score another 100, we'll win the game. So
I'll kiss the ground if he scores 27. I mean, seriously,
but that's what he did for
especially
years.
in the playoffs.
Like he was like one guy that didn't sort of match any team he's ever been on. There's never been a time where it's like, there it is. Finally, we figured out the mystery of James Harden. No,
they've done it where they've brought in another point guard. Like,
yes,
they brought in Chris Paul.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They were sort of recreate. I mean, they did that with Chris Paul and him in Houston. And if Chris Paul doesn't tear his hamstring, maybe that team they were pretty good.
Yeah,
but when they sent him to Cleveland with Mitchell, I'm thinking they've already done this, bro.
Yeah.
Boys, you've already tried this before.
Yes,
you've seen it doesn't
rub
work.
Rub it in, coach. Rub it in. Rub it in.
I am. Well, I talked to DJ Ogilvy too. He's a big Cleveland fan, so we go back and forth on a regular basis. And he's the same. He's just like you. He said this is the most frustrating Cleveland team he's ever seen.
Yep.
Just frustrating because you just don't know what you're going to get out of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Guys, there are 2 series out west. Let me throw this out because we have a situation where Anthony Edwards looks like he's got some healing power. He's actually going to play as we speak on Monday night. He's supposed to play against San Antonio. And then you have Kevin Durant, who, and again, why haven't we heard what it is? I mean, are they guarding him? Are they trying to play?
And I always thought, aren't they supposed to disclose it?
Yeah.
In the league? I mean, I don't know what.
Well, no, they called it a calf injury or something.
Yeah, lower leg soreness.
Yeah, lower leg keeps you out of the play. Michael Jordan's got to be sitting there drinking, going, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
And so you got the yin and the yang here. You got Edwards, who was supposed to be out a couple of weeks. And then they said, well, maybe when they go back to Minnesota, and he's like, screw that, I'm playing tonight. And
yeah, I saw him warming up.
I hope he doesn't turn into Halliburton. I really don't. That's the only thing that concerns me, is that he tries to play on an injury and makes it a lot worse. But I also am not surprised because of his DNA. He's a different guy when it comes to the playoffs. I mean, they're fifth and sixth seed every year, and they get to the conference finals.
Yeah, he is so much fun to watch. Just on a different level from a competitive standpoint. He's one of those guys that if he can play, he's playing. I did watch him today when I got home from school. They had cameras on at one of the practices, and he had a big immobilizer type. He had a big knee brace on. It's kind of padded, and he was moving around. I mean, he's not healthy.
Yeah.
But, you know what I mean? So I don't know what version of him we're gonna see. Like I saw him today, thinking, is he really gonna try to play?
Yeah.
And then Wemby, they interviewed Wemby, and he's sort of like, well, I don't want him. I don't want to beat them without him playing. Is basically what he said in so many words. Because we want the best version of them when we win. And I don't know if Edwards heard that and was like, okay,
challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted. I'm playing. So we'll see. We'll see how that works. But I did see him at practice. They had some video of him at practice today, and he didn't look, like he was moving around great. But we got time.
Yeah.
Time.
Yep. And I loved them in that first round matchup against Denver. Said they would win that series because again they have that's a frustrating team too. That team should be better in the 5th or 6th seed every year. And I know it's the Western Conference, and I know you got OKC and you got San Antonio, who just really, again, Wemby is just, people calling him a unicorn.
Their young pieces, though,
yes,
have really elevated them. Bringing in Fox and Castle's amazing.
That's a big move. When that happened, I was like, wow, they're putting together some pieces quickly. That solidified them as a top 3 team in the West.
Yeah,
and remember Wemby missed a lot of time this year too, and they went 62-20. So, and if he doesn't face plant in this round, I think I want to see OKC in San Antonio. Listen, the odds say, the Lakers are a 35-1 underdog in that series against OKC. And, with Ant-Man coming back, they kind of lowered the odds. I think Minnesota was minus 1,800. Now they're minus 650. But I want to see that series because, San Antonio, Oklahoma City's got a chip on their shoulder because San Antonio beat them 4 out of 5 in the regular season.
Yeah.
And
be careful what you ask for.
Exactly.
Be careful.
Well, no, I just want to see the. I want to see.
I'm saying if I'm OKC, I'm not. I don't want that matchup.
Yeah,
but because they struggle with their length. They really do.
Yeah, they're not going to run. That's for darn sure. So it'll be interesting to see. Can both these teams get out with 4 or 5 gentlemen sweeps, and then we have a nice series. Well, because then it'll get really stretched out because they'll start the series, they'll play a game, and they'll have 4 days off, and they'll play another game. And the NBA does that. They start series. Although it's funny, in the first round they couldn't because of all the game 7s. But a lot of times when teams close out, they'll start a series and then you'll have a huge gap, 3 or 4 days, either between games 2 and 3 or 1 and 2, and to kind of get things back in shape. But the Lakers, kudos to them for winning that first series against the Rockets. I think this is a different animal. What do you think? What do you think Bron does? Does he stay in LA, or does he go back to Cleveland, or does he go somewhere else? Or does he go to the sunset? In 5 years, he's a Hall of Famer.
That's a good question. I think he enjoys the time he has playing with his son.
Oh, You took the words right out of my mouth. The happiest I've heard him all year is when he said, "It's so great." He threw an alley-oop to Bron.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He didn't talk about a win. His most animated point was he's playing with Bronny. And I think that the Lakers are more than happy to have him around to fill seats because he's such a draw. And I think
he can play a little still at 41.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm not saying
they controlled that series for the most part, guys. At 41.
Yeah. Again, LeBron at 41 is a hell of a lot tougher than Kevin Durant is at whatever age he is. And so you take the 2 superstars, and LeBron played. LeBron goes to the hoop. LeBron does all the things that LeBron does. He can do it in a lot of places, Rich. I think it's going to be right now. He's playing as to what interests him that makes him excited. And wherever that may be right now, it seems like LA is the place. Could he go back to Cleveland? Maybe. I don't know. That's sort of like been there, done that kind of scenario right there. There's nobody. I can't even see him. Where else would he go at this point? Does he want to, who
I heard today, guys, Golden State. Maybe play with Steph for the last year or two.
All right, that's sort of a sideshow kind of thing. I get that, but
I don't know.
I don't know how it works. I don't
Well,
know
that
how it
depends
works.
on management's decision on Kerr.
Right.
So if Steve Kerr, if he goes to management and says, "Look, I'll give you a year, and at the end of the year, I'll decide again," and the owner's good with that, you can see something like that happen.
Right. They keep the band together, and they keep Kerr there, and they add LeBron.
Yeah.
I could see that. And you know what? You never know. Golden State might say, "Pack up Bronny too. We'll put him on the team." What's the difference? You know what I mean?
I honestly think wherever LeBron goes, Bronny will go.
That's
I really
what I mean.
do. I think
somebody
it'll
got to
be.
agree to
I
that. I
think
can
it'll
see
be a
Golden State
package
saying
deal.
go for it. So it would be a
All right.
hell of a 1-year story if they did something like that and hadn't had success. It'd be a great story, but there's a lot of good young teams in the West, so
Oh,
they
the West.
they better stay healthy.
That's why I was saying Cleveland, come back east, because the West right now is just, it's silly. It really
the
is.
only thing I would say, like with a Steph LeBron combo, there'd be a lot of load management going on, and they might only play 40 games together in the regular season and have to figure out the playoffs on their own. So,
Had load management.
Yeah,
That's a whole show in itself, boys.
Yes, it is.
you think about it, it's actually a word. It's actually something that we talk about in sports now. We never talked about load management, and it's in the vernacular now that actually happens.
Thanks, Pop. We really appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah.
Great coach, but yeah, could have done without that.
Yeah,
All right, let's move on. We already talked about Tariq Skubal. Again, if you weren't with us earlier, left elbow surgery, has some quote unquote bodies in his elbow. That doesn't sound good.
No.
Early thought is 2 to 3 months. How much does that take off his next contract? That's for another show. How about the Rays? How about the Rays, guys? Listen, they were left for dead. Everybody picked them last. You don't look at that lineup and you're not. I mean, they've got Aranda, they've got Caminero, and they've got Yandy when he's healthy. And then they have about 6 automatic outs, but they're playing good baseball. Kevin Cash is managing his ass off.
Yes.
They've learned how to play small ball again.
Yes.
Tying run Sunday against San Francisco. Squeeze play in the 8th inning. Listen,
Yes, with Caminero on third.
yes.
I mean, think about that.
And how excited was he when he crossed the plate?
Yeah.
First slide. This team is buying in.
Yes.
And they're starting to pitch. McClanahan is getting better every game. No walks in 6. 2 things he hasn't done in years. No walks, 6 innings.
Yeah.
They finally kind of figured out the pen a little bit. Save for Jax, who I guess they're going to make him an opener, which is good because he was killing them in the pen.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, 21-12, second best record in the American League. The American League's nothing to write home about. Listen, there's only 5 teams over 500. But listen, did anybody think the Rays would be 9 games over 500 at any time this year?
No.
Yeah, me neither, guys. This is. And listen, a lot of people have been like, well, we really need to move on from Kevin Cash. Really?
No.
Really?
That's just silly talk.
Yeah.
Those people don't understand. He and listen, every coach, every manager, they're always you're gonna make a mistake.
Right.
Right? Everybody, you're gonna go with your gut on something, and it's not gonna work out. It doesn't bother Cash. There'll be people pissed in the stands.
Right.
But you've never seen it bother him because, to be honest with you, his gut instincts have always been pretty good. And I love the fact that he embarrassed the Yankees so bad by laying bunt after bunt after bunt at professional baseball players who could not handle the bunt.
Yes.
They didn't know what to do. It was so embarrassing. The one guy, I can't even remember his name, who was the baseman that said, "Oh, well, I didn't even know if I threw it to first. Is that a double play?" Like, he didn't even know. You're a pro baseball player.
That was Caballero, I think.
Oh, my God. I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah, like, what are you doing?
Wasn't it the second baseman?
Yeah,
yeah.
Talking about. Yeah, the former Ray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't know.
It's great. It's great. He manufactures runs when there isn't any. He has a young team. He's figuring the bullpen out. And, and if he can keep those guys.
Started to pitch.
Yeah. And my mind's not working.
Rasmussen.
No. The new guy.
Oh,
And,
Matz?
no, he's like 4-1 or 5-1 right now.
Steven
Pitched-
Matz, isn't he? You pitched
No, it's
yesterday.
not. It's not Mac. Not him. Who
Oh,
pitched
okay.
before him?
We had an opener. We had Jax. So I'm lost because it was McClanahan,
Hold on.
Jax. and
I
then
gotta ask my
Matz.
wife, the baseball expert.
Anyway, it's awesome to see, and it's a great timing thing too, because trying to get this stadium across the finish line when you have a good product on the field, John,
Yeah, listen, you're 100% right, and you don't get rid of the manager that they have. Look, the Rays have been very fortunate when they got rid of Joe Madden, which again he was gonna, like, now he's out of the game, but understandably,
Right.
that was a guy at his best that you got rid of, who was going to give you the hometown discount, and you replaced him with a guy who you didn't quite know what you're going to get at a very low price, and you hit another home run.
Yeah.
That's the guy that, as any Rays fan or a guy just a casual bystander of the Rays, that's the guy you recognize, right? That's the guy you see at this point, and maybe a player or two, but he's the reason that they, when they win, they win, because he's got it figured out. He's a very good, and it's one of the baseball, one of the true games that still require a manager, coach, or whatever to kind of dictate what happens in a game. You know, the other sports, I mean, maybe football, I'm being all over the top there, but basketball, I mean, hey, sometimes you get the right guys. It's like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna watch you guys for 2 hours and see if you can score 150 points. You know, like that kind of a situation. But baseball with cash, the way they do things, you can't ever consider that. He'll be the face of the organization when the new stadium is put together or new stadium is being built. That's it.
Nick Martinez. That's the guy.
Oh, Nick Martinez. Okay, yes.
He's been fantastic. He's been fantastic.
Forgot about him. Beat Cleveland 1-0 in his last start. So
he's been fantastic to watch play.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Not electric stuff. Not, he's not going to throw 98. He's going to pitch. These guys.
He got 7.
Yeah.
His time in Japan. I watched a little special on him. I thought it was interesting. He spent time in Japan, and in Japan they throw some wacky stuff that we don't throw. And he's learned how to incorporate that into his delivery. His confidence is good. When he takes the mound, you can tell defensively guys are not letting balls drop. There's one glaring weakness though. Like, not catching fly balls in the outfield has been a little worrisome.
And as good as Caminero has been at the plate, he's
airmailed a few.
He's been a fortified butcher in the field. I mean,
he's airmailed a few.
He's airmailed a few. He's booted a few. But it's better than it was at the beginning of the year. So again, 21-12 heading into their series. Yankees are.
Kyle Snyder doesn't get enough credit either.
Yes, kid out of Sarasota, by the way.
Yeah, he went to Mooney and Riverview.
Yep.
If you're an executive for another team, and the Rays call about some guy you're not using,
keep him.
Yeah, right. Right? Aren't you going? Hey,
they want him.
We need to go. Maybe we need to take a second look at these guys.
Yeah,
because the Rays want them.
Yeah. You're 100% right. And I'll tell you, I think the Rays are going to continue to play well. It's always their tipping point is always about the All-Star break. Somebody goes on the IR because they got a Tommy John surgery.
We trade somebody.
Something happens all the time, and it's like oh, what's so that we might see a really good team the All-Star break, but then we got to see what is done and not done. And this is where the new ownership is going to come in to see how they react to this thing. Are they going to be guys that buy into it and go for a pennant, or are they going to be guys that's like, no, we can get value on the dollar for this guy and this guy and this guy and see if we can limp into the first round of the playoffs? But we'll see.
Yandy is the guy I'm worried about. Yandy is the guy I'm worried about.
Yeah. The division.
He has turned himself into a professional hitter, guys. He's a tough out.
The division that they play in shouldn't be with whatever the Eastern Division or whatever. It should be the drama division, because there's always some drama going on. Everybody in that division outside the Rays have some sort of major issue at some point in time, or take turns every year. It's the Yankees one year. Now it's the Red Sox this year with Cora, everything going. There's always something that's sort of shaking somebody up. And then you look around and you get to this point of the year, maybe in June 1, you look around like, hey, the Rays are in second place. You know, how did that happen? Same stuff every year. It's like, but again, what happens after the All-Star break really comes down to management at that point.
Well, I'll enjoy it for now. That's for darn sure.
Yeah,
And I know your wife will as well, there, Coach.
Yep, she watches them all.
Yeah,
we have 2 TVs now in the living room, so so the Rays can be on one TV and I can do my flip. You know,
right. Hopefully, it's a different remote, so it doesn't bother her TV. That's
it is
the most important thing. Got to keep them happy. Atlanta, 25-10, with all their injuries, with all their pitching problems. The Braves are just being the Braves. I mean, it's really funny how baseball, the years change, but a lot of times the actual pieces stay the same. And, they got that winning DNA. And they haven't, instead of sulking, oh my God, we got 3 starters on the IL. They're just bringing up young kids, and they're the system's good.
That's the key, though, right? Like the Rays and the Braves in particular, both teams, have been their minor league systems are loaded with players. Yeah. So if they have to move somebody up for a while to make sure that they can cover for an all-star that's on the mend, if they're super talented and they go all the way down to AA. You know what I'm saying? They have deep farm systems with a lot of talented kids. A lot.
Yep. I used to miss those days where they came through Charlotte there.
Yeah, those were fun. We used to do those games. They were fun.
Yeah.
Watching those guys play.
One other sad note, Yankee broadcasting legend John Sterling passed away this morning at the age of 87. Retired a couple of years ago. But if you're a Yankee fan, and I'm not, but I grew up around the New York area, he was the voice of the Yankees, period, end of story.
Yeah, he's got to be, comparable to Phil Rizzuto, comparable to a lot of those names that you may fear. Or depending on when you were a Yankee fan, or if you grew up in the New York area, I'm sure, Rich, you remember that WPIX was the Yankees, and
Bill White, Frank Messer, and Phil Rizzuto. Yep.
Yeah, and so you remember those names, and I think this a generation of players has been John Sterling through the Jeter years, and now into this generation as well. So yeah, I think a lot of people will be there'll be a lot of reminiscing as to what things he said and how he said it, and really set himself apart as far as a broadcaster. Some of it was a little goofy, but in a city like New York, a little goofy kind of fits in to the equation.
You said it right, brother. All right, here's a sport that both of you guys, as we get close to the end of the program here, golf, back at Doral, Trump Doral. It's good to have them back in Miami. Unfortunately, Cam Young made mincemeat of the field, wire to wire on that course. That's pretty impressive.
And Rich, I'll say this to you: this is almost my 1B to my what's bugging me situation. But Liv had one more chance to ruin a PGA tournament because they were the story more than the golf was. It was more about Liv, what they're doing, and the PIF giving up on stuff, and the questions on a Thursday round to Scotty Scheffler weren't about the course. It was about what did he think about the guys coming back from Liv, and so I think that's sort of for the return to Doral. While again the Blue Monster looks a little different than the days we used to watch it in days gone by, but it's still the same tough course. It got a little bit overshadowed by Liv, and that sort of annoyed me a little bit because it was a signature, a big event. Spieth played well. There was guys that and I know Young was out there, but there was some of the names you haven't seen were sort of playing pretty well, and it just seemed like the Thursday, Friday lead up into Saturday, Sunday was more about what was going on in the damn Liv situation than there wasn't about the golf. Hopefully that goes away quick enough. They get done with all that stuff, and then we're talking about nothing but golf in the next years to come.
The scheduling was my complaint.
Yeah,
you cannot have the Doral Open go on the same time that you're hosting F1
Right.
in Miami at the same time.
Right.
Like the crowd was just not as thick as it should have been because I mean, there's only so much money you can spend in one sports weekend. You know what I'm saying?
And let's say this to you: the Kentucky Derby was on. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of casual fans will golf. Let's face it. I play golf. I'll come home, turn the golf on. And sometimes I'm sleeping the first 2 hours that's on the TV, or I'm whatever, but it's on there. And I think that Kentucky Derby on Saturday definitely swallowed up some of the crowd that might have peaked over at that. Again, Cam Young takes a big lead. Scotty's up there, that he might have brought some eyes to the prize. But then you have Kentucky Derby and you have Liv sort of sucking the air out of the room a little bit. So hopefully next year they can get it right a little bit better, and it'll be a little bit more.
We'll make it part of the Florida swing as opposed to
100%. That's what needs to happen.
Instead of
This
this disjointed thing where you play the Masters and then you play RBC, and now you're playing Doral. It's like that doesn't make any sense.
No.
Yeah, don't send him to Texas.
Right.
For 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Exactly. That 1 week needs to be in Miami. Yeah. And I got the chance to walk with Jordan Spieth in the Pro-Am at Valspar, and just talking to him like two guys talking, walking around playing golf. I said to him, he's been my favorite guy for a long time, and I said to him, "How you feel?" He goes, "I haven't felt this good in 10 years." Because I'm really close. My putting's got to get a lot better. I gotta hit more fairways. He goes, but my swing is good. My body is great. My home life is great. Everything's great. So I think he's close. You've seen him hovering in that, 12 to 7, 8 range. He'll float up in the beginning, and then but to put together 4 complete days, he just hasn't done yet. But I'll be looking forward to that because he's a super nice guy, and I really enjoyed spending time with him.
So, Coach, I've never given up on Jordan Spieth because I think he has some natural drive and talent. I think the biggest problem, again, what you said about his putting, the guy had a putting style and a short game that was unprecedented for years. Yeah. And he got very sort of mechanical with things. He went away from the not looking at the cup deal or looking at the cup deal, things that sort of kind of gave him his sort of, his uniqueness to the game. Yeah. At some point in time, I think he's a major championship guy again. I think in the next 6 or 7 majors, ending out this year and the next year, he will either contend or win a major again. I feel he's got that in him. It's just going to be a matter of if he can get. He might need a regular tour win to kind of give him that energy he needs.
Yeah.
I could see him having like a Tommy Fleetwood kind of ending to his season, where he kind of puts it all together, and no one be surprised about that. So yeah, I agree with you. I think Jordan Spieth is a guy that is fun to watch and on his way back, and that's what makes golf kind of cool to watch. And I've always thought it that way because these guys, they're young enough to still have a lot of juice in the tank. And you have a Scotty Scheffler right now, you have a Rory McIlroy, but gosh, there's 25 guys you can put a circle around, and they're all potentially, they sell tickets, and that's what I like about where the PGA is right now.
The accessibility too, like it's how NASCAR used to be. Like I used to love going to the races because your accessibility to everybody was just so unlike any other sport. And golf, we go to the Valspar every year. My sons are in Orlando, so they go to the Arnold Palmer first, and then they'll meet us over, and we go to Valspar. Got lucky enough to bump into an Under Armour buddy of mine that got us to walk, but I'm walking. Xander Schauffele and his guys are behind, right. And I love Xander. I think he's great too. And then in my group is Governor DeSantis, John Gruden, Rondé Barber, and Baker Mayfield. And I walked 18 holes with these guys, and it was the most fun I've had at any sporting event ever. It was so much fun. These guys cracking jokes and talking about sports and life, and it was so much fun.
So Rich will tell you that I am a golf tournament fanatic. I love golf tournaments. Yeah. I go to Waste Management out in Phoenix every year.
Cool. That's one I'd love to go to.
And so I get the up and my friend of mine out there, he always gets Tuesday passes. So when they're doing their, their guys are casual, they're walking around, and the accessibility, you're standing there listening to these guys talk. You can talk to them at that point. They have no problem with that. Ask them what they're working on. They do it all. That's great. So golf has always been that way. Even if you're just there and behind the ropes, if you're at a spot, you're going to be within 3 yards of the best player in the world.
Yeah.
And that's like saying I got to watch the Patriots play and I got to stand next to Tom Brady in the huddle. I mean, that's what you're getting. And that's the level of, and the accessibility is you're right there with them. And if you ever want to see why these guys are good, stand on the tee box behind them and watch them hit a drive. It is the most humbling thing in the world. Where they aim and how high it goes and how far it goes is insane. It's just insane. So
and effortless. They just
effortless, right.
Yeah,
they're not worried about they know they're looking at a spot that's tiny. We're looking at keeping it in the fairway. They're looking to hit a spot that we don't even know where they don't even see it. They're looking to hit it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
A
lot of fun.
Yeah, it'll be a shame if the Valspar goes away. I still haven't heard anything about that. I've been kind of keeping my eye to the ground because it's either going to be them or the tournament down in the Palm Beaches. So, and a lot of people think that, there's
a lot of people are up there this year, man. It was packed. And it was packed.
But a lot of the golfers live down by that tournament.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
They can fly their helicopters over to St. Pete. They'll be fine.
Yeah, and I'll say this to you, Rich. It's not even about the tournament per se. It's about the golf course. And I'm going to get the chance to play up there in June. We're playing Copperhead twice in the weekend, and a lot of my friends they'll watch it like this is really a PGA Tour event course because it doesn't look great. And that's in July normally. Now I'm going to play in June. If it looks a little raggedy, I know that's what the PGA is looking at. That the course is not sort of up to the level of pristineness, I guess you would call it, that they expect for a PGA tournament. So that's a hard sell though, because there's a lot of trees up there, and that trees and leaves on the ground don't promote grass growth in the fairway and in the rough and everything else. So, but
that rough was deep this year. It was almost 6 inches. I mean,
it needs to be. That's what they need to do, and I think that'll do it. Because for a long time they talked about that course being someday, because of course now in Florida you really can't have majors, maybe the PGA, but they said it's a layout's major championship level, but the course itself is not in the best condition. Which when you play, you play in some of these these resort courses, and my gosh, it was like you're walking on a mattress. And out there it's a little bit little suspect. So we'll see how it looks, and I think that'll be the measuring stick to see if they keep it or not.
All right, guys, we just got a couple more segments to go. Locks of the week. I had Philadelphia closing out Pittsburgh in Game 6 last week. They did it in overtime, even though they got outplayed. But I'll take it. 18-14 on the year. Masoni's just hotter than a firecracker. The series was 2-2, and he says Knicks win the series. That was it. Almost seemed unfair. Have you ever seen a game? I mean, I looked at my phone. I forget where I was at. I think I was with my wife. And I pull out the phone just to see, because I had the Knicks -1.5 in the first half. And I pull up the phone, and there's 4 minutes to go in the first half, and it's 72-22.
Yeah,
and I start thinking, all right, was that a Lemon Bay game? Was that a high school? On the positive side, of course, Coach. What I'm saying is, was it high school? I mean, I was like, that can't be right. So I went to another site. And it was 74-22. And I'm like, well, I guess it must be right because they just scored another basket.
Yeah.
I have never seen a basketball game with that kind of spread. But of course, John, you hit that. So you're 20-12 on the season. You're more than paying the VIG for sure.
I got to keep it rolling here, Rich.
Yeah. So what's your lock this week?
I'm going to go with a two-bagger. I'm going to take Venice and Charlotte to make it to the next level. They're going to advance this weekend to get the semifinals of the baseball championship. So I'm taking Venice and Charlotte to make it to the next round. I think they're on a little hot streak, and be nice to see two teams make it to that situation.
Well, I wish we would have came on earlier because it almost seems like I'm cheating now. But I don't think this is, and people have talked to me, but I don't think this is a very long series. The Knicks and the Sixers. I really don't. I didn't think it would be. And I'm going to say 4 or 5 games. I'll say 4 or 5 games.
Knicks, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think right now the Knicks are the class of the East.
Hey,
I would like to see. I would like to see a Knicks Detroit.
They're playing the
series.
best right now,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, they're playing stupidly well at this point. So, all right, final segment. What's bugging me? What we do here, Coach, is we just take a topic. It sometimes it's sports, sometimes it's not, and we just find out what's bugging me. Used to be a Truly Nolan sponsor. John, we got to get them back in here.
Yeah, so that's the one thing like I said, working on a few things, and that's the easiest sponsorship of all time, right? You know, it's like it's got the line to it. It creates a little pop to and with the guys who watch the show. So that's kind of a cool deal. So do you want me to go first, Rich?
Yeah, you go first.
So it's pretty simple. You know, like I said, I'm on vacation, and you know, you go to these bars in Key West, and there's sports everywhere. But guess what else is everywhere? You know, there's beautiful women walking around. There's great music being played and everything else. And what the hell am I doing the other night? I'm watching the Magic and I'm watching the Lightning, right? Like an idiot. And I'm frustrated because I'm watching the Magic just
Throw it away.
I'm watching them go. They missed 23 shots in a row. They didn't score any points. How about, like you were saying earlier, Coach, how about take the ball to the hoop and get to the free throw line? Score a damn point. Do something to shake it up. It was just hard to watch, but it was like you couldn't stop watching. It was like now it's like historically bad, you know, at that point. And then the Lightning, obviously, in that game to win in overtime, kept you on the edge of your seat. So not the one case. You know, it was bad to watch. It kind of ruined that, and then the Lightning playing pretty well, and then losing on Sunday. But you know, I took a big chunk of my time in Key West on a night. At one point in time, the waitress was like, "Are you just going to sit there? Or are you going to drink a beer?" I'm like, "Oh, I forgot." I was still watching it. My friends were like, "Yeah, what's wrong with you?" I'm like, "I can't stop watching this shit on TV. It's driving me crazy." So yeah, that's what I want those 5 hours back. So
I got you.
Transport me back down there. I want my 5 hours back. So that's what's bugging me this week.
Hey, Coach, you got anything that's bugging you?
I do. You want to know what's bugging me? I'm going to tell you what's bugging me.
Go.
Golf tournaments that are scrambles that people think they're professional golfers. First of all, if you don't do a poker draw, you're just dumb. Because make it a poker draw. You know, birdies are better. Pick it up. Move on to the next hole. You can't have A's, B's, and C's on all these tee boxes and have everybody playing every single shot for the whole round. I played in a golf tournament 2 weeks ago that took me 6 hours to complete. No, that's bugging me. Like, I'm here to support the teams that I was there supporting, but 6 hours, I was done at the turn. I was ready to, I'm like, this is insane slow. So yeah, to all those golf tournament organizers that are fundraisers, you're raising funds. We're not raising the next PGA champion. So birdies are better, and we'll go draw poker cards at the end to see who wins. Nobody cheats. Everybody has fun, and we're done in 4.5 hours, not 6.
Coach, the funny part I get about that is when you're there and you're watching people, and they are reading putts like it's for the 18th hole at Augusta. I mean, get the worst player up there, let him roll one and see what the speed of the line looks like. Take a couple shots at it and go to the next hole. You're absolutely right. It's amazing. It's amazing. I play 3-wood off the tee all the time. I'm not the longest hitter. I put it in the fairway. As soon as somebody hits one and it's in the middle of the fairway and it's farther than anybody else can hit it, let's roll the ball.
That's right. That's right. Everybody wants their hacks. It's a fundraiser. You're there to have fun and raise money for whatever group it is. Nobody cares if you win. And if you win and keep all the money, you're a dirtbag.
Right. And
What is
trust
wrong
me,
with you guys?
there's guys that go around every weekend looking for places to win if looking for a prize to win some stuff. It's
Come
done.
on, man. It's a fundraiser, bro.
Yeah.
It's a fundraiser.
Yeah.
Have fun with your friends. Go whack some balls. Have a good time, and be done in 4.5 hours, not 6.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Well, mine's going to be kind of mundane compared to your guys. Jeez. And I kind of brought it up a little earlier. The PGA's got to streamline their schedule. I really, it's going all over the place. Is getting kind of out of hand. And again, the Trump Doral is a perfect example. That, and I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. That tournament's got to be part of the Florida Swing. I mean, it's a Florida Swing for a reason, okay?
Right.
All
right.
the tournaments are in Florida. You don't need to have, after the Masters, you don't need to have, next thing you know, they're going to be like, well, this could be the 6th major, No. It's a great tournament. I mean, it's a great course, I should say. Hopefully it gets back to being a great tournament. I love the, the full, the select field. And, the other thing that bugged me was if you watched the tournament at the end on Sunday, if you watched it at regular time, you were watching it on tape delay because they played earlier because of the weather.
Right. Right.
I thought that was kind of silly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Very 1978 of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
How about the finals with Magic and Julius Irving at 11:30 at night? Yeah. Remember that? 1980? Magic scored 42. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they won the title. But that's what's bugging me. It's not really anything of major consequence, but it is what it is. Guys, I've enjoyed my anonymity tonight. Sitting here in the dark.
Take your mask off.
Yeah.
Let's see who it is.
Watching the Knicks just destroy the Sixers here.
I've already switched over. I got the Spurs on. By the way, I'm not so sure about the Spurs. I don't know. I don't understand what they're doing with their
unis,
with their court and their uniform tonight, and all the colors in the crowd is a little distracting.
Going with that in the playoffs? Come on, that's
yellow, pink, blue, white.
That's Wednesday night in the regular season. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh boy, everybody wants to sell jerseys, right? Everybody wants to sell jerseys.
Oh, the NBA is never not marketing something to somebody.
That's true.
And Major League Baseball is not far behind. I still can't figure out the green Red Sox uniforms, but
no, the yellow. They wore them this weekend. The City Connects. What are you connecting to? Yellow and blue. It's the Red Sox. Yeah. I guess that's what should have been.
It's in the name.
Yeah, exactly.
It's in the name.
Come on.
Yeah.
Holy crap! All right, guys, we're done. Coach,
all
really
right, boys.
appreciate you hanging out with us.
Yes, sir.
Here on the
Thanks,
941
Coach.
Sports Zone.
Appreciate it.
Enjoyed it.
Yep, and enjoy your time in the Keys, John. Recover from being in the Keys.
Yeah, see.
I'll get to the Keys at some point in my life.
My son just came home. He's home from college, so Jason's home.
All right. Well, then I'm taking too much of your time. Then
Jason.
So enjoy your time. Enjoy your time with your son. Hey, how's it going? All right. All
right, boys.
Sean Huber and for John Massoni, I'm Spitz. Back at it again next week, guys. Until then, so long, everybody.
See you, bud.
Yes, sir.